His hands trembled as he stared at the three identical little girls standing in front of him at the grocery store. They couldn't have been more than 6 years old, with matching pigtails and curious eyes. One of them pointed at his forearm and said those words that made his blood run cold. "Hello, sir, our mother has a tattoo just like yours." He looked down at the small compass rose inked on his wrist, the one he got 7 years ago with someone he thought he'd never see again. The tattoo that was supposed to be unique, designed together on a rainy afternoon, a symbol of two souls promising to always find their way back to each other. His heart pounded in his chest as he tried to process what this could possibly mean. Before we dive deeper into this incredible story, I'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button and join our Kindness Tales family. We share real stories of hope, kindness, and the beautiful connections that remind us what truly matters in life. Drop a like if this story touches your heart, and please share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's get back to this moment that changed everything. Marcus Reed had been raising his daughter Lily alone for the past 6 years. His wife Sarah had died in a car accident when Lily was just 6 months old, and every single day since then had been about putting one foot in front of the other. He worked as a high school art teacher in a quiet suburb outside of Philadelphia, and his whole world revolved around his little girl. At 7 years old, Lily was smart, funny, and had her mother's bright green eyes. Marcus had never even thought about dating again. How could he, when part of his heart had been buried 6 years ago? That Tuesday afternoon in late September, Marcus was just trying to get through his grocery shopping. Lily was having a play date with her friend Emma, and he had exactly 1 hour to grab what they needed for the week before picking her up. He was standing in the cereal aisle, trying to remember if they were out of milk, when he felt a small tug on his jacket. He turned around and found himself looking at 3 identical little girls. They had golden brown hair, freckles scattered across their noses, and they were staring at him with an intensity that was almost unsettling. Before he could say hello, one of them spoke up. "Excuse me, sir. We're not supposed to talk to strangers, but we really need to tell you something." Marcus smiled gently and crouched down to their level. "What is it, sweetheart?" That's when another one pointed at his wrist and said it. "Our mother has a tattoo just like yours. Exactly like yours. We've never seen anyone else with the same one." The compass rose. Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. He'd gotten it 7 years ago with Rachel, his girlfriend before Sarah. They'd been together for 3 years, deeply in love, planning a future. The tattoo had been Rachel's idea. She loved traveling, loved the idea that no matter where life took them, they'd find their way back to each other. They'd designed it together, a unique compass rose with tiny coordinates hidden in the design, coordinates of the park where they first met. But then Rachel had gotten a job opportunity in Seattle, a once-in-a-lifetime chance at her dream career. Marcus had been offered a teaching position here in Pennsylvania, his own dream finally coming true. They'd tried long distance for 6 months, but it fell apart. The breakup had been devastating, but eventually Marcus had moved on. He'd met Sarah a year later, fallen in love again, got married. And then Sarah died, and Marcus had been so consumed by grief and single parenthood that his past with Rachel had become like a distant dream. Now he was staring at 3 little girls who apparently had a mother with the exact same tattoo. "Where's your mom?" Marcus managed to ask, his voice barely steady. "She's in the parking lot," the third girl said. "She's on the phone with work. She told us to grab the bread, but we saw you and we just had to say something. Mom talks about that tattoo sometimes. She says it reminds her that even when you're lost, you can find your way home." Marcus felt his eyes burning. Those were Rachel's words. The exact phrase she'd said the day they got the tattoos. "What's your mom's name?" he asked, though he already knew the answer in his bones. "Rachel," they said in unison. "Rachel Chen." The world tilted. Marcus steadied himself against the shopping cart. Can you take me to her?" The girls looked at each other and nodded. They led him through the store and out to the parking lot, chattering as they walked. Their names were Sophie, Maya, and Claire. They were 6 years old. They loved art class at school. They had a cat named Pickles. And then he saw her. Rachel was leaning against a silver SUV, phone pressed to her ear, looking exactly the same but somehow more beautiful. Her hair was shorter, and she looked tired, but when she glanced up and saw him walking toward her with her daughters, the phone slipped from her hand. "Marcus," she whispered. They stood there in the parking lot of a suburban grocery store, 7 years of silence hanging between them. Rachel's eyes filled with tears as she looked at him, then at her daughters, then back at him. "Girls, go sit in the car for a minute, okay," she said softly. Once the triplets were inside the vehicle, still watching curiously through the windows, Rachel let out a shaky breath. "I can't believe this. I can't believe you're here." "You have triplets," Marcus said, stating the obvious because he didn't know what else to say. Rachel nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks now. "I found out I was pregnant about 2 weeks after we broke up. I tried to call you, Marcus. I tried so many times. But you'd changed your number, and when I finally reached your old roommate, he said you'd gotten married and that I should leave you alone. He said you'd moved on and were happy, and I thought maybe that was for the best." Marcus felt his knees go weak. "Rachel, I was married. My wife Sarah. She died 6 years ago. I have a daughter, Lily. She's 7. Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God, Marcus. I'm so sorry." They stood there, two people who'd loved each other once, whose lives had spun off in directions neither could have imagined. Marcus learned that Rachel had raised the triplets alone, that the father situation was complicated, that she'd moved back to Pennsylvania just 3 months ago to be closer to her aging parents. She'd been living just 20 minutes away and they'd never known it. "I named them after artists," Rachel said with a small smile. "Sophie after Sophie Toberarp, Maya after Maya Lin, Claire after Claire Falkenstein. I thought you'd appreciate that." Marcus felt something crack open in his chest, something that had been sealed shut for years. "Would you want to get coffee sometime? I'd love for you to meet Lily, and I'd love to get to know Sophie, Maya, and Claire." Rachel's smile was like sunrise. "I'd really like that." Over the next few months, Marcus and Rachel rebuilt what they'd lost, but this time as friends first. They introduced their daughters to each other, and the 4 girls became inseparable. Lily finally had the sister she'd always dreamed of, and the triplets had an older sister who patiently taught them how to paint and draw. Marcus and Rachel took things slowly, carefully, both of them scarred by loss and time but willing to try again. On Christmas Eve, Marcus took Rachel back to the park where they'd first met, where the coordinates from their tattoos led. Snow was falling softly, and their 4 girls were having a snowball fight nearby, their laughter echoing through the winter air. "I never thought I'd find my way back to you," Rachel said, looking at the compass rose on her wrist. Marcus took her hand. "Maybe we were always meant to find each other again. Maybe those tattoos really did work. Sometimes life takes us on journeys we never expected, down paths that break our hearts and test our strength. But sometimes, when we least expect it, those paths circle back and bring us exactly where we need to be." Marcus and Rachel learned that love isn't always about perfect timing or unbroken roads. Sometimes it's about finding your way back, about second chances and blended families and 3 little girls brave enough to talk to a stranger in a grocery store. Their compass roses had promised they'd always find each other, and 7 years later, in the most unexpected way, they did. If this story touched your heart, I'd love to hear about your own experiences with unexpected reunions or second chances in the comments below. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is stay open to the possibility that what we've lost might find its way back to us. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is trust that even in our darkest moments, we're not lost forever. We're just finding our way home.